Anyway, let's get into this video because I'm gonna keep yapping all day, and I wanna get into Warcraft 3. To be honest, I can't wait to play. I've just been nonstop thinking about the story. I want to see what happens next, man. I think it's really cool too that you start from the human campaign and then you follow Arthas to the undead campaign, and Arthas goes from a paladin to a death knight, and you're like, you have different spells, but it's like the same guy. Like, dude, how sick is that? Anyway, we'll get into it in a bit. There might be Warcraft 3 spoilers in this video. Hopefully not, honestly. There are Warcraft 3 spoilers. Wait, really? There are some little spoilers. Wait, are the spoilers big enough to actually not want to do it? Bro, you've played a giant Warcraft 3 spoiler for 20 years. Yeah, I think I'm fine. Like, here's the thing. At some point in my WoW career, I probably knew Arthas did that. But I've never seen it happen, and I've never played the campaign to lead up to it happening, seeing the cutscene of it happening. But someone's probably mentioned to me before, Arthas killed his father. Like, I probably knew that somewhere in my conscience, right? Conscious. I always mix up conscience and conscious. Subconscious. Every time I use... Anyway, I probably knew that somewhere, but I've never seen it. I've never felt it. Because I've never actually seen the cutscene. So if there's spoilers, it probably doesn't matter because I probably have heard them. I want to actually experience them. It's different. Classic WoW is bigger than I thought. Guys, this is the brand new G-Bay video, and I'm stoked G-Bay is still playing WoW. We watched that first episode, and I thought he might have been a goner, but he's still here. We got him, boys. All right.
Alright, so when you're someone who's new to World of Warcraft like me, there is a point in your first playthrough when you come to learn that this game is almost set up to trick you. Across my first steps through Azeroth so far, I've already been through a lot, from discovering the various human starting zones, to stumbling into tragic quest lines, to tanking my first dungeon and getting a sneak peek at how deep the strategy and combat can go. By now, my journey from level 1 to 30 has taken roughly 60 hours of gameplay, so at this point I thought that I knew what this game had to offer. Normally that's the case, right? I mean, normally if you sink 60 hours into a video game, you should have a pretty good grasp of the game you're playing, but I've come to learn that is not the case for World of Warcraft. It turns out in classic WoW, when a player hits 30 for the first time, that is the moment this game gets turned on its head, because for however big you thought the world was, now is when you are sent all across the sprawling 2 continents of the map to see how truly large the...
Okay, I gotta pause here for a second. 1 to 30 to me is like peak classic WoW. Not to take away from the rest of the game because it's great, but 1 to 30 Alliance to me is like peak classic WoW. Like, these zones right here are just so darn good. They're like, I could do them 100 times. In fact, I probably have. It's like, it's so darn good. And the second thing I was gonna say is this area of the map has a whole new meaning after playing some Warcraft 3. The Undercity, Lordaeron, Hearthglen, Strat, Western Plaguelands, all this whole area, and then like up here going into like the Blood Elf zone. Oh, whole different I almost want to like just run around here for a bit. It's like a whole different thing after playing Warcraft 3.
The scale goes. However good you thought the quests were, this is when you get to see even more that send you on bigger and more important adventures than anything you'd seen yet. And to top it all off, this is the point when Classic WoW even managed to fix the one critique I've had for this game. I was always sold on going all the way to 60, but my experience post 30 really showed that there's no way I can stop now. It's a story I can't wait to tell you all today, but before we get into all of that, first, okay, so today's sponsor is exciting for the channel because this video is sponsored by the ultimate free-to-play game you all know and love. A game that does not have seasonal resets that constantly devalue your progress. A cross-platform title playable on mobile devices and PC, and one featuring a truly insane number of collectibles, where if you stick around to the end of this ad read, I will be giving you some codes to unlock a bunch of free stuff that'll get you started.
Raid Shadow Legends?
You can tell I'm a real YouTuber once again because this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Raid, of course, is the classic game we all know and love. I was first sponsored by them.
Legendary, man, legendary.
I ironically checked in on the game since then because I genuinely
legendary.
Find it fun. It's the perfect game when you're stuck out in public and you need something to grind. Raid just launched their latest global event, Web of Corruption.
Raid Shadow Legends, guys.
Can take on Rhea the Mourned in a limited time event dungeon to earn pinpoint gear and other valuable rewards. Not only that, you can also earn a free legendary champion, Valorant the Equalizer, just by logging in 7 days in a row. Keep logging in afterward and you will get even more gear and upgrades for Valorant. You don't need to wait that long for a powerful champion though. If you follow
Man,
my
your
link
guys'
down below
chats
or
during
scan
this
the
is
QR code on
nice.
screen, you can also unlock the legendary Cardo Fox Hunter right away. You'll get Togor
Cool.
from the Orc faction when you reach level 15. And if you are a new player, you can get one of the best champions in the game, Grand Oak Padraig.
I mean, if I'm a real YouTuber, I should get sponsored by him soon too. I mean, just to experience, to see how it feels.
He's only available though if you are downloading the game via my custom link down below or scanning the QR code on screen. And then
just as an experience.
Within
You don't really know
after your download,
how it feels until you do it, right? So
one of these 6
I mean, we might have to check that out. I'm a YouTuber.
Promo codes if you would prefer to get somebody else, but I would just take Padraig because you can only choose one, and he's the best. If my league days have taught me anything, it's that you should be scared to not follow the meta. Anyway, if you have somehow not tried Raid yet, give them a shot through my link. It seriously helps support the channel, and thank you very much to Raid for sponsoring this episode. But now, back to the video. Alright, so we last left our series off when I hit level 30 in Duskwood, and a guildmate messaged me letting me know that I should go do the Whirlwind Axe Warrior class quest. Of course, I was a little bit sad to receive this message because it meant I had other things to do before I was allowed to get back to my fishing grind. I was still stuck at 150 and felt pretty eager to unlock whatever I needed to level further, but I was happy to have a new task to chase, not realizing how hard this task was about to be. I flew off to Stormwind first to wrap up any errands I had before heading over to my class trainer. In particular, I spent a little bit of time trying to level my mining, blacksmithing, and also maxed out my first aid up to 150, since you guys let me know I should try to not fall too far behind on the profession grind. While I was here running through the streets, I also tried to pick up any new quests that I saw, since if last episode taught me anything, it was that so many of the great quests in this game start from unassuming beginnings. But after that, I finally went off to the warrior class trainer to begin what was about to be a very long journey. So Wu Shen tells me, now that I've hit level 30, it's time for me to prove my worth as a warrior, mentioning that there's an island off the coast of the Barrens where warriors meet to test their skill. I should go there and speak to the chief warrior.
I wonder if he can find it.
A special challenge I'm now ready to face. He gave me some instructions on how to reach this island, but I could tell this was going to be a somewhat monumental task since none of the named places in the directions given appeared to be anywhere in the Eastern Kingdoms. For almost my entire journey from level 1 to 30, I've been pretty exclusively stuck in the first 4 human starting zones, all in the southern part of a single continent. These areas were already pretty large and diverse to a point that they felt huge on their own. It made the few times I flew up to Ironforge feel like a massive trek that I thought was giving me perspective on how large the world could be. Turns out, I had no idea. After searching my map, I come to find the Barrens is a region off in Kalimdor, and this single zone top to bottom is as large as the whole distance from Stormwind to Ironforge. Gosh, this is a big zone. I take a flight up to Menethil Harbor, where I remembered from ages ago that one NPC mentioned boats here sail off to Kalimdor, and all along this flight path, I was feeling intimidated that I'm about to...
Bro, how does bro have a memory like that? Like, my memory is more like, I don't know, like a goldfish, you know? I can remember like kind of what I'm doing currently most of the time, but like there's no way I was like, oh yeah, I read that quest, it told me to go there. Like, what?
Go to a zone that's as big as this whole trek my griffin is taking. When I finally landed, I walk over to the docks, and after waiting around for a while for the wrong boat that would have taken me to a night elf zone, I eventually head over and wait alongside some other players where a ship finally arrives, everybody boards, and we set off to Kalimdor. Now honestly, this little trek was kind of exciting for me because, as you may remember from episode 1, one of the few criticisms I've had of Classic WoW so far is that it doesn't really feel like enough of a follow-up to Warcraft 3. Everything that happened with the human race specifically in that game was fascinating, from the culling of Strathhome to Jaina fleeing to Kalimdor to whatever the hell came of Dalaran after Arthas murdered everybody. I was coming to WoW hoping that I would get to meet some old friends or see familiar places, but so far most of my time in this game has been spent in or around
I mean, we've murdered a lot of people, but I don't know if I've murdered people in Dalaran. Have I done that part? Everyone's saying spoilers. I have killed a lot of people.
Stormwind, which is a city that I had never even heard mentioned once before in the Warcraft universe. That's why sailing from Menethil to Kalimdor for the first time and setting foot on Theramore Isle, that reignited my interest in the world. I was gawking at the outpost, wondering if this was the human camp that Jaina set up after the Prophet chose her to lead humanity across the sea to go and fight Archimonde. I don't want to be too much of a lore nerd, but it feels so good to finally get what looks like my first real nod to the game that sold me on WoW in the first place.
God,
as I leave the safety of Theramore entering Dustwallow Marsh, I get a sense of familiarity with a nagging thought in the back of my mind that this zone has some kind of significance to me, although something I can't remember yet. I get a little...
Someone said, I'm the reverse G-Bay. Like, I've been playing WoW my whole life, and I've never played Warcraft 3. It's like... The actual reverse, man.
A little spooked on my trek as I noticed that there are some mobs that are way too high of a level for me to deal with them on my own. But that makes it all the more comforting when I then head further down the road and see these encampments of Alliance soldiers staffing nearby towers and tents, providing assistance. That's one of the really cool things WoW does with its faction system, where because the world can feel so dangerous, but certain NPCs will fight alongside you, it honestly feels like a relief anytime I see a friendly soldier nearby who will help if I ever get in a bit of trouble. Like, it genuinely feels...
The world feeling scary is really important for an MMO. And this is why I really don't like when Blizzard and other modern MMOs create a world that scales with you, right? Any level, any zone you go into is scaled to your level. It's like, well, this sucks for two reasons. The first is now nothing feels crazy scary if you wander off the beaten path, which it should, right? Having the world feel scary is awesome, but it's bad for the second reason because once you're a really strong level, you want to be able to like one-shot the stuff that was hard earlier, right? When you're level 30 and you go back to Elwyn, you want to be like, oh yeah, like I'm not scared of this at all. Like you want to feel powerful. You want to feel scared in some areas, and you want to feel powerful in others. Not this whole like, anywhere I go, it's exactly my level always, and I level up and everything is now leveled up with me, so I'm not getting stronger. What? Like, it's just so, it's so bad. It's so bad. I don't like to use the word bad often because it's like, well, it's a matter of perspective and there's pros and cons and this and that, but like, it's pretty darn bad for an MMO to have world scaling. It just is. It's pretty bad.
It's real. I am actually quite nervous running through some of these areas, and I feel actual relief when I see an allied camp come across the horizon. Anyway, I follow the street signs that point me toward the Barrens, as well as a sign specifically noting something called the Shady Rest Inn. I wonder if this is a place I might want to set my Hearthstone. After many minutes of hiking, I come to a fork in the road where it looks like the Horde have their own encampment further down. I can only assume that's what these banners signify. And that marks the first point when I realize that I don't think I've seen a Horde player in my playthrough yet. Shortly after this fork in the road is when I come across the Shady Rest Inn, which is destroyed?
Awesome.
What happened here?
Cool.
I mean, there has to be a story behind this place.
Click on the
I doubt
things.
the inn would have had all these signs pointing me toward it. If there wasn't any significance, I'll have to keep an eye out for any sort of quest associated with this place from here on. Further down the road, though, is where I finally make it to the outskirts of the Barrens and come to see that it really is as intimidating in size as the map suggests. Most of the mobs here are such low levels, they're not really a threat, which gives me some comfort in exploring, so I start heading toward the coastline to scan the horizon for islands. But before I get there, I stumble across a human fort, which I figure I should go explore, thinking maybe this will have a flight point or something to make future travel easier. Except when I search this encampment, I realize there's not really anything for Alliance players here, which must mean that this is a place for Horde players to go and do quests fighting the Alliance. There was something about realizing this that got me feeling giddy. Seeing NPCs that are on my side in a war that I know enemy players will be specifically hunting down is so interesting as a gameplay mechanic. Like, if I was playing WoW as a kid and this was a PvP server, I bet I would just be hiding out here for hours waiting for Horde players to be sent on whatever quests so I could go and gank them. That's actually one thing that I feel kind of sad about with my playthrough. I've been able to experience so much of the glory of WoW's golden era by playing vanilla, but I'll never really get to experience however popular the world PvP was back in the day. Anyway, upon realizing that
I'm curious what server he's playing on, because it seems kind of dead. Maybe it's a bad layer. I don't know. Like, normally you would see like some Horde on your way through Theramore to Ratchet to Northwatch Hold, like someone questing. Maybe it's a PvE realm. Maybe. I don't know. It is kind of sad that he's not seeing any though, right? It is kind of, it's like,
There's not much for me to do here. I follow the coastline to try and find some kind of inn to set my Hearthstone or another flight point so I don't have to do this walk on foot again. When I come across my first ever Horde player, seeing this level 11 undead Jaws filled me with a sense of conflicting emotions. On the one hand, I wanted to wave, say hi, tell him that he's the first Horde player I've ever seen, but on the other hand, I was just fantasizing about this. If I was on a PvP server, I know I would absolutely try to kill him. I wouldn't even care if I got anything out of it. I would just do it for the love of the game. Getting your first PK is always a big rite of passage when playing a new MMO.
killing a level 11, you know, if it's your first kill, I respect it. You know, like normally I'd be like, bruh, but if it's your first kill, it's like, you know, you got to do what you got to do.
Wow. Since this is a PvE server though, Jaws was spared and I kept heading north until I found a little town where I could set my Hearthstone and pick up my first new flight path on Kalimdor. This town was pretty fascinating on its own. It seemed to be run by goblins who aren't hostile toward me, but I'm also seeing other Horde players around, which must mean it's a kind of neutral site where both Alliance and Horde are welcome. The dynamics of Alliance versus Horde are already so interesting as a gameplay mechanic, so seeing there are also neutral races that I presume are playing both sides of the conflict for the sake of profit, sort of like the smugglers in the Dune universe, that just makes the dynamics of interracial conflict all the more fun. Okay, wait, I didn't mean for it to sound like that. Anyway, after gawking over all this, I eventually realized that this town is named Ratchet, which was part of the directions Wu Shen gave me. Not long after, I was swimming to a few different islands before I finally found the one I was searching for, expecting my long quest for this whirlwind axe was about to come to an end.
Like, I wonder how long it took him to find this. Like, this cutscene is like, makes it look like he just kind of swam over. As a first-time player, I don't know about you guys, but that would have taken me like a good hour, maybe 30 minutes. First-time player in Ratchet, trying to like I've done it 100 times now, but
Upon arriving, I meet up with Clannock McLeod, who introduces the Affray to me, a challenge where warriors prove their worth by fighting their way through a series of foes, culminating in a final boss named Big Will. I head over to the fight pit to take down the challengers, who don't seem too tough, as the first few are just around levels 26 to 27. It is a little bit tricky because I'm not given much time to heal before fighting the next opponent, but when one orc decides to be a coward, like a dirty Horde member trying to run away before I kill him, that gives me a good chance to reset before fighting the next group. Finally, I get to take on Big Will, a level 33, who is going to be kind of tough for my level 30, but I pop Retaliation and use just about every skill I know to the best of my ability, getting the kill with plenty of health to spare.
Every time I watch Jibe actually fight, I'm like kind of impressed. He uses his potions, he uses Retal, he uses like T-clap and Demo shout, like presses buttons. He's not just kind of like AFK. He's like doing the thing. I don't know, like, not that I was expecting him to die to Big Will or anything, but like for a first-time player, how many first-time players would die to Big Will? Probably more than not, right? If you go in truly blind, probably most.
The affray is over, so I walk over to Clannock to finish my quest, anticipating this wild and raucous journey is about to come to an end, only to learn that it is, in fact, just beginning. Okay, so Clannock tells me that I've learned a new stance, Berserker stance, and I should go get a nice weapon to make the most of it. That's going to involve going off to speak with Bothra, the Wind Watcher, a troll hermit who lives between the Alterac Mountains and the Western Plaguelands. I open my map, foolishly thinking that this must be an area on Kalimdor, not requiring that much travel, only to see the place he's referring to is all the way back over in some of the northernmost zones in the Eastern Kingdoms. So I hearth back to Ratchet to take a griffin flight to Theramore, to take the boat from Theramore to Menethil, and then start heading north to chart more unexplored lands. I pass through some weird, huge, half-destroyed bridge to make my first steps into the Arathi Highlands, which is an absolutely gorgeous zone. It's also quite dangerous, as I notice
Seeing him run through here is going to be pretty cool. right, with his Warcraft 3 knowledge.
Level 42 elites wandering around. Am I the appropriate level to be doing this Whirlwind Axe quest in the first place? I keep venturing north where at one point I see a huge human castle where I think must be another Alliance outpost, only to find out that this place is infiltrated with some kind of hostile syndicate mobs. Okay, I don't know what they are or what they've got going on. Before long, I'm running into more of them. Do they have their own backstory like the Defias gang? I keep heading north and then come to see a massive gate that cuts the land in two, seemingly half destroyed, leaving me to wonder what the hell that's all about. I know Lordaeron is to the north of the Eastern Kingdoms, right? So maybe this is like some kind of wall that people erected to try and stop the Scourge back when they were waging war on everyone. Is this like Game of Thrones or something? I mean, that's a story I'd love to hear. I then enter the Hillsbrad foothills where I find more mysterious human encampments that don't seem like proper towns. At least they don't have flight paths for me, so I wonder what their deal is. Before then, I suddenly stumble on a giant purple marble in the middle of the earth, which I then head toward to find it's Dalaran. I was just saying, I wondered what happened to the city after Arthas murdered everybody. I'm quite sad that I can't go in to see it for myself, but this is awesome. Okay, I keep getting distracted, and I don't want this video to just be me gawking at the
all the spoilers.
Landscape that's turning into too many of these episodes. So I take a second to reread the instructions telling me I should follow some river north where I should be able to find the troll I'm after. On my way, I fight some more mobs and bump into more of those syndicate guys again before eventually finding the river, heading north and coming across Bothra the Wind Watcher. Bothra acknowledges how
I can't believe he actually found this guy. I mean, this guy's at a pretty remote location. Yes. I wonder the timeline, you know, to find this guy. I mean,
so far I've had to travel,
read.
which
I'll say that much.
Before he then says he'll help me with my quest if I go fetch some items for him. I just need to collect a few things and then he'll summon something called the Cyclonian, where if I defeat him, I can gain his Whirlwind Heart that Bothra can use to power a weapon for me, presumably the Whirlwind Axe. Now, I'm gonna be honest, this whole adventure running across 2 continents had me a little bit tired, so I didn't read the last line of his quest dialogue.
Oh my, he's not reading the quests? Come on, Chibe. Come on, dude.
Telling me he was giving me a piece of parchment explaining where I could get the items I need. I had some work to do or something, so I just logged off for a bit, and when I logged back on the next day, I hearthed back to Stormwind to try and buy whatever items were required with the fat gold stack I still had. It was nice to see that I could just buy the life root, but
that is nice. I don't know why. I've only played self-found characters for like years and years, so I have to farm these, and every time it's like a 6-hour farm, and it's like brutal. I forgot that people can just use the auction house and buy what they need. I really did. Can you buy the tusks too? No, you need to kill those.
It was less nice to see I couldn't buy any of the other items required, and also I hadn't picked up any flight points to get back to the troll guy. So I figured that I had to go back to the troll dude, which meant another massive trek all across the world, which was somehow just as fascinating the second time around. This time I came across a weird Forsaken convoy who killed me before I then came across an Alliance outpost in Arathi that thankfully had a flight point.
This is the journey,
it's
man.
always
This is
good
the
to
journey
see
right
the
here.
Alliance. The rest of the trek, I saw some more of those Syndicate on my way up the river towards the troll, anticipating I'd be able to ask him where the rest of those items were, or maybe I would just see an obvious clue nearby. But when I finally entered the Alterac Mountains and made it back to Bothra, that was when I saw another warrior doing the quest, which taught me the Cyclonian is such a high level, I can't even see it right now at my current level of 30. I tried to ask this level 60 who was helping the other warrior.
This guy is... the other warrior is having a 60 help him. All right, yeah, no, that's cool.
Or kill it, how exactly I go about getting the other items I need, but he apparently had no clue. I get one little hint when I try interacting with this pot that shows some of the ingredients I need for the Essence of Exile, but that's as far as I get. So I go around just trying to kill nearby mobs to see if anybody drops anything, and when I can't even do that without dying, I realize I'm a bit out of my depth, choosing to Spirit Revive in a new town, South Shore, which, okay, at least there's an inn here and a flight path. Cool. Let's catch our breath and reset. Let me just go ahead and address the elephant in the room here. I am the idiot. I am the one that got distracted while playing and didn't notice I was given specific instructions of where to go to get the items I need. And it was my being an idiot that turned an otherwise incredible...
Yeah, Chibe, I'm incredibly disappointed that he didn't read that one. I'm gonna hold back the flame here, but G-Bay, we're all thinking it, man. Come on. Step it up, G-Bay.
Fun, adventurous class quests into something that I'm about to be stuck on for a little while. Blizzard, you did nothing wrong. This was all on me. However, the good news is that this little roadblock sent me off on an adventure where I was about to discover some even more exciting and interesting quests that were somehow able to top basically everything I'd seen so far. And don't worry, I will eventually open up my bags and see what I'm looking for. But I figured at this point I was going to need to level up if I wanted to get this axe that people keep talking about. I didn't want to cheat and get help from some max level guy who would just kill the Cyclonian for me.
He's just calling this guy out, man. 100%. He's calling him out.
At least not if I could help it. At the very least, I should keep playing to a point where I can find out what level the Cyclonian is. So I decided to just get back to questing, starting off by seeing what this new town of South Shore had to offer. I spoke to a mage guy who was actually a follow-up quest to that library quest from last episode, where he told me to go and kill some ogres and retrieve some tomes lost in the ruins of Alterac. I spoke to some other citizens who also told me to go kill some ogres and turtles and murlocs roaming around nearby. One interesting quest from a magistrate of South Shore told me to go and slay some of those syndicate people I had seen earlier, as they were apparently suspected in assassinating the previous magistrate. This quest caught my attention because it gave me a pretty big upgrade to my belt slot as a reward, and gearing up might be something that could help me take down that Cyclonian, so I decided to go off and work toward doing that first and foremost. After some searching, I found one of those syndicate camps I passed by earlier and fought my way through, looking for the particular mobs I was meant to hunt down, but it turns out it wasn't these guys I was looking for. They're a bit too low level anyway, although they clearly have their own thing going on. They have some specifically named jailer here alongside an orc that I presume is being held prisoner, that I just killed because he's part of the horde, of course. That's what a good Alliance member does, right? But once again, I absolutely love this. Just like that human stronghold in the Barrens, it was so cool to see an area that is specifically not...
I love how he's just killing gray mobs for like a while. It's like... That's the experience, right? You're just out in the world and you just kind of get lost in it for a while. It's like, am I going here for my quest? Oh, I can't see any, but I'm just gonna stick here around here and kill all these kill these mobs, see what they drop, see what there is around here. Like that, oh man, I miss it, you know?
Meant for me. Seeing content I can't even participate, but that clearly does exist for a reason, just fleshes out the world further, reminding me there are stories going on that don't have anything to do with me in Azeroth, just like in the real world. Blizzard is just so good at making their world come alive like this. Anyway, I keep on searching further to find another syndicate hold, although this one is too high level for me, as I get ganked by a spy. I had no idea I could get ganked by NPCs who would go invisible in this game, but it makes the threat of the world feel pretty intense once again, especially after I die to a few ogres as I'm trying to run away. Thankfully, a friendly dwarf named Hawthorne that was passing by chooses to revive me and helps show the way.
So someone in the chat says that is what all players of vanilla have been searching for. Let me break this down just for a second. I kind of agree with you. We all miss that feeling of like running around and exploring and just being like there for no specific reason and just messing around. One of the problems with this is most people just look things up nowadays. G-Bay is doing a blind playthrough where he's specifically not just looking up the answers to things, and he's trying to figure them out himself. Very similar to how I just did a blind playthrough on Minecraft. I'm trying my best to do a somewhat blind playthrough on Warcraft 3. I mean, it's a little different, right? You just kind of, I'm more just like... Anyway, it's almost a self-imposed thing, is my point. It's a self-imposed thing to make yourself blind. Okay, I'm not gonna look up the answer to every problem. I'm gonna fiddle with this thing for a little bit, and that's the enjoyment itself. Is fiddling with it, is trying to figure it out. But it's a self-imposed thing that most people will not sign up for. I'm just gonna be honest. This playthrough with G-Bay is cool because he signed up for it. He's like, I'm just gonna go in blind. Where do you find the time to do that? Well, it's because there's no destination. That's where you find the time. You log in for 45 minutes and that 45 minutes is spent fiddling, but that was your fun. It's just a different perspective. It's like, where do you find the time to play classic WoW? It's like when there's no rush to hit 60, there's no, I need to hit 60 in raid log. It's just, I'm going to log in for 45 minutes and run around, right? So there is no rush, right? But that's the thing. You have to sign up for it, right? It's self-imposed. Right? You can create that, but it's self-imposed. So anyway, it's a good thing to bring up. Why do I bring it up? Because when Classic Plus comes out, we can all grief ourselves again by just rushing. You know, I won't even say we all could. We all will. Let's be honest. 99% of players when Classic Plus comes out are going to min-max, level grind, get to 60 as quick as possible, get to raid log and complain there's nothing to do. Let's be honest, right? So what I'm trying to say is like you can do stuff like this, and I did like a no questy playthrough recently, ultra hardcore, where you intentionally slow down. Hardcore makes you slow down, but it's there for you. But it is a thing that you have to sign up for. Does that make sense? You have to sign up for it yourself. It's a self-imposed thing, because if not, you can look up anything and ruin the journey of it all.
To the actual mobs I was trying to take down. Another great community interaction, especially since he also shared with me that after completing my...
Just to be clear, I'm guilty too. Like in 2019, I griefed myself. I got to level 60 and like really fast and just like spam, just did everything hyper efficient. Like I'm guilty. Like in 2019, I ruined my own experience doing that. When hardcore came out, it was the first time I actually took it slow and it was way better. So just to be clear, I'm not like trying to point the finger. It's like I'm the problem too, right? Like just going quick, right? 2026 gaming culture.
Quest. I could pick up a couple more by searching through the parchment on this table in the middle of camp. Honestly, this surprised me a bit. I can't quite remember if I've experienced this before, but seeing quests that are given out by items that don't even have a quest marker signifying they start a story, that's really interesting. It kind of feels like another choice from the developers to make players care about exploring the world and looking for details they would otherwise miss. One of those quests caught my attention as apparently those syndicates had left an encrypted letter that I meant to take to a mage in South Shore. I head down to deliver it, turning in the belt quest quickly before then speaking with the mage, who tells me that he is a colleague in Ironforge who might be able to help decrypt it for us. That gets my blood pumping again, since it's always the quests that send me across multiple regions that kick off epic narratives, which is why I naturally made a beeline for Ironforge to learn more. I find the colleague delivering the letter, and as this dwarf decrypts it, he notes it's apparently quite strange, saying I should take it back to the magistrate in South Shore immediately. I'm eager to do so, but before I do, I notice this guy, as well as a few other NPCs nearby, have even more quests for me. So I go around picking them all up, but that's when I notice I'm getting close to the cap for the amount of quests that my log can hold. This almost freaked me out a bit. I want my playthrough to be as much of a completionist playthrough as possible, where I see all the great highlights that this game has to offer, but I'm also learning fast that there are way too many quests in this game for a single player to do all of them in his first playthrough. At least if you're playing blind like me, that seems like a pretty tough task. I've learned by now that WoW has a system for its quests where not only are they color-coded based on difficulty in your log, where a red quest is something you aren't the level to do, yellow means it should be a fair challenge, and green suggests you're over-leveled and it should be quite easy. But there's also a fourth color, gray, which means that you've become so over-leveled that even if you go do this now, you won't get much experience. So I figured that I should make...
Hey, wait, isn't there 5? Gray, green, yellow, orange, red. Am I miscounting this?
A bit of a plan, and for the time being, I'm going to go and try to complete the areas that I've been through already before spending too much time exploring new ones. In particular, I should just go and do all the quests I already have that sound interesting and prioritizing those yellow and green ones I find, making sure to do them before they become irrelevant. Knocking out as many as possible, if nothing else, will give me some levels so I can go and kill that Cyclonian. So naturally...
Dude, so this is actually a really good strategy that he's doing. Like, the speed levelers in WoW kind of do this, where you kind of always stay above the level that you're required so that you can kill mobs quicker, so that you can level faster. So the speed levelers, what they do is they kind of stay like 1 or 2 or 3 levels above where they should be by grinding mobs, and they're doing quests that are easy because it allows them to do them quicker and continue to grind mobs efficiently. So they're always staying ahead of the curve. So the speed levelers are basically never doing orange quests, red quests, or a lot of the times not even yellow quests. Like they kind of stick to green quests. And if there's no green quests, or you know, maybe some yellows, then they just level up to get past the level, then do them, right? So that's kind of what Well done, Jibe.
The first thing I did was fly back south toward Duskwood. This is such a great zone and is the prime example of a place where I want to leave no stone unturned. I had one quest still to do in my log anyway, as well as one quest that you guys told me I should be sure not to miss. The one I already had was a somewhat simple series of kill quests for the rest of the Worgen in the area. These were some of those first given to me by the Night Watch members to prove my worth, which I continue to do. It's a fun bit of combat and even led to a little lore drop, where after completing all the tasks given to me, the original quest giver gives me a note to take to his superior. Obviously, anytime I'm given a note, I gotta read what it says, so I start searching my bags until I eventually find it. Apparently, this person believes that I've proven myself enough to a point where I should be tasked to investigate some of the townsfolk under suspicion of them being enemies of the light. That sounds really interesting. I didn't even know there was a whole subversive element to what was going on in Duskwood. But sadly, I am not given a follow-up quest, instead just being rewarded with this awesome shield. Maybe I can come back later and learn more about what that whole plotline is. For now though, I have another task which you guys gave me to do, and I am very glad that you did, because it led me to finding another one of my favorite quests in this game. In the responses to the last 2 episodes, you guys let me know I should be sure to check out some kind of grave behind Morbenfell's house for a quest that I may enjoy. Seeing as it didn't look like I had anything else left to do in Duskwood, I ran out to the Ravenhill Cemetery to search for this grave, which took a lot longer to find than I would like to admit. It's actually kind of funny. If you had not mentioned this to me, I would not have found this quest, because it's another one of those that has no marker or anything guiding me to where it begins. I finally find the grave though, which names the burial site of Morgan.
Like, so, I don't know. I feel like that is a backseat that I don't mind as much. There's some people that are like trying to spoil things, but this is a quest that he's gonna love. He probably wouldn't have found it till like a second or third or fourth playthrough, naturally. But it is like a really cool quest line, like one of the best, right? So it's like pointing him in the right direction to at least try to find it. Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Lattimore, although it appears a bit odd as the mound of earth was recently disturbed. I'm then given direction to go and speak to the historian back in Darkshire to learn more. When I arrive, I'm told that Morgan's story is a long and sorrowful tale, as many in Darkshire knew him personally before he left for the war. Hang on, that's not the war I'm thinking of, is it? This guy then gives me my next step in the quest, which I misread. I just see this book in the quest log that apparently tells the story of what happened to this dude, so I figure that he's giving me this book to read before I go speak to my next contact, the commander of the Night Watch. Also, it literally says in the first line of the quest that he's searching through his shelves and then comes up with a leather-bound book. I assumed he was giving it to me, but it turns out the quest is to go speak to the commander, who will give me this book as a reward. I somehow completely missed this though, and don't realize it until I spend a long period of time searching through my inventory.
My like video lagged there, but I think it's fine.
Trying to find a book that isn't there. But in my search, flipping through every note and piece of parchment that I see, I finally managed to find the instructions! The list of how to get all the items I need for Bothra and summoning the Cyclonian. This was such a pleasant surprise that brought a smile to my face, although that's obviously going to have to be on the back burner for a bit, as we have more important things to do first. After a while, I realized my mistake and go out to speak with the commander, where she says that Morgan Lattimore is synonymous with Mor Ladim, who I have already come across once before, a haunting specter that roams around the Ravenhill Cemetery. The commander asks that I lay him to rest, as he's apparently been causing a lot of problems for the town. But before I do that, I have to read the story she shares. Morgan Lattimore was a great and noble man who fought in defense of the innocent, the poor, and the afflicted. For many years, he worked diligently throughout the areas of Azeroth. He was married to a young girl named Lise in the summer of his 18th year. They were much in love and would eventually produce 3 children, a son and 2 daughters. Then, Morgan was 32 when war broke out in Lordaeron. He was called to the side of the legendary paladin Uther the Lightbringer to fight against the orcs and undead, leaving his wife and children in the safety of his home. As the years passed and the war dragged on, Morgan would witness many horrific events, including the disbanding of the paladins, the death of Uther, and the spread of the plague. The only thing that kept him from the brink of madness was the knowledge he would someday be reunited with his wife and children. As Morgan returned home many years later, he inquired on the whereabouts of his family, family, a priest said he might search the cemetery for a gravestone. Morgan rode from Darkshire, stopping by the cemetery. He spent 2 hours walking among the gravestones, recognizing many names of people he knew. Then he saw them, a small untended plot amongst the many with 3 small gravestones. Morgan brushed off the dust of the most prominent, revealing the letters that spelled out Lise Lattimore, beloved wife and mother. For hours he stared at the grave, sobbing apologies. Then hours later, something in him snapped. He brought out his sword and began to rain blows on the gravestones, screaming in rage. As a trio of the cemetery's attendants tried to restrain him, he turned his focus, hurling accusations of guilt before killing them all. Later, when the rage passed and he saw his bloody sword, he removed his belt knife and plunged it into his own heart. The next day, he was quickly buried without ceremony in a hastily dug grave on the outskirts of Ravenhill. Only days later, his grave was disturbed, and his body could not be found. The being Morgan now is wanders Duskwood, consumed by his grief over the loss of his wife and children and his own self-hatred. Morladim, as he now calls himself, roams Duskwood with mindless vengeance and has been known to commit murder indiscriminately. Okay, I don't know why that last line sounds a little
Pretty
funny.
insane.
But holy hell, and I thought this game couldn't get any better. Duskwood continues to be the most metal zone of anything
it's
I've
really
seen,
good.
not just in WoW, but in gaming at large. And now it is even beginning to fix the one issue that I've had with this game. As I was just saying earlier, one of the few criticisms I had left
I
was
just
that
played this
WoW
yesterday.
didn't have enough references or follow-ups to Warcraft 3's great narrative, but now I'm getting so much of it. Seeing specific reference to the Scourge starting the war and Arthas disbanding the Paladins and slaying Uther, it sent shivers down my spine as I read it. I had already seen Morladim once before when I was going and getting that big group of players.
Okay, there's no way he solos Morladim at like 32, right? I mean, there's just no way.
To kill Morbent Fell, as a bunch of guys in our group were also tasked with slaying Morladim too. At the time, he just seemed like a regular elite mob that was placed there for guys to get experience. But after hearing this backstory, I am suddenly thrown for a loop. What was otherwise a tough but simple NPC that was just roaming around now has so much character and significance, fleshing him out.
It's great. Great
God,
quest.
this game is so good at that. I head back out to the Ravenhill Cemetery,
31.
finding Morladim wandering around once more. Since he's a level 35 elite and I am only 31, I'm going to need some help to take him down, so I ask for anyone in region chat who might be able to assist.
Good
One
idea.
guy shows up, a level 34 Night Elf Druid, who I'm a little suspicious if they're going to be enough for us to take him down on our own. It looks like he's charging in though, so I go in too, and we fight quite a bit before I do realize we are indeed outmatched and will need some more help. As the Druid falls and Morladim starts whacking me down, I'm running off in a somewhat pathetic sight trying to escape, convinced I'm about to die, when suddenly I get some big heals out of nowhere. At first I thought the
Uther,
Druid revived
the
and was
Paladins of the
healing me,
Light.
but when I look over at my group to see that's not the case, it's only then I realize a random level 60 passing through just decided to help us out with our quest. I'm trying to not repeat myself too much over this series by now, but I
Nice.
gotta say it again. It is so incredible how many emergent gameplay moments like this occur so naturally with other strangers just as you go around playing World of Warcraft. It never gets old.
Wait, that's actually hilarious. This pally that's healing him is in a guild called Knights of Stormwind. And he's healing him against Morladim. That's actually awesome.
Around playing World of Warcraft, it never gets old. With the help of our level 60 friend, we take down Morladim, and I grab his skull as proof of his demise before heading back to Darkshire to show it to the commander. Upon returning, she seems somewhat impressed that I was able to survive and actually accomplish the mission she sent me on. Thanks for the vote of confidence. Before then letting me know the final arc of the story, although Morgan's wife and 2 of his children passed away in the corruption of Duskwood, one of his daughters lived and is a current member of the Night Watch. I meet her down the road and she thanks me for laying her father to rest, asking if I can go lay a ring of hers at his grave, hoping he can know that she lived and that nobody holds him responsible for what happened. Honestly, as the father of a daughter, this little moment made me tear up a bit. I head off to the gravesite, placing the ring where this story first began, at which point I'm then treated to a scene of Morgan's spirit, now sane, grateful to hear that his daughter lives, and hopeful the light can forgive him for his sins. He then bestows his sword to me.
After playing Warcraft 3, I'm just thinking out loud here. Feel free to like disagree or agree or disagree. Would a quest like this deserve a cutscene? Like you turn this quest in and it's like the daughter, you know, placing the ring. Well, I guess you're placing the ring. But would a quest this epic deserve some kind of a cutscene? Yes, yes, yes. Like, it never really occurred to me. But after playing Warcraft 3, I'm like, I mean, some special moments kind of could, right? I don't know if it takes you out of the game and like makes it not as immersive, but it like could be kind of cool. I will say, I've been saying this for a long time, this quest deserves better loot, because you do all this like epic things, like epic story, crazy hard elite, and you get like the sword that like, I mean, I don't think it's gonna be better than what he has, so it's like, dang.
As my ultimate reward, which I am very excited about. Okay, so this two-hander might actually be worse than the dual-wielded axes I had in terms of DPS, but I want to start using it a bit because this sword is the first item I've seen that has a special attack. Occasionally, when striking enemies, it will also hit targets for 85 arc.
Like, he wants to use it even though it's worse. Like, it's like... It's a special sword, special name, and like hard quest. It looks cool. Like, bro, this thing just needs to be buffed a little bit to make it feel like, okay, I got this.
Arcane damage on top of the regular hit. I have no clue if that's any good, but I love it when gear has unique elements like this.
Yeah,
it makes choosing what weapon I'm using a real thought-provoking decision. Like maybe this sword will be better than my regular axes if I'm fighting an enemy with low arcane resistance, or maybe it'll straight up be better if I'm ever lucky enough to just get a few procs in a row. Up until now, sometimes it feels like the gear in WoW is just a series of stat buffs, which can feel nice to equip, but that vertical gameplay that people talk so much about is why if I ever get a new item that just has better stats than my old ones, the old ones become completely useless and are just vendor trash. It's so much more fun when you get to hold on to a few different items that have unique attributes or special attacks and might be better or worse in certain scenarios.
Who wants to tell him? I'm not gonna tell him. I mean, who wants to tell him, guys? Oh no. Yeah, that's, I mean, we'll write that down as a point of improvement, right, Blizzard? Right?
But anyway, with all that being said, what a great quest. What a great reward. Classic WoW just keeps the hits coming. I think with that quest completed, I have now wrapped up all of the Duskwood specific quests, or at least I can't find any more to do now. I was considering ending the video here because we certainly met our goal of finding a great story to care about in this episode. But then I thought a little bit more and figured, you know what? We can probably do at least one more quest. Let's just keep playing a little further so we can continue leveling, getting closer to making progress on the Whirlwind Axe. And, you know, I might as well continue my plan of knocking out as many green quests as I can before they become irrelevant, turning gray. And I kid you not,
good plan.
That is the reason the next quest I chose to do was the Missing Diplomat. So this is one of those quests I grabbed
Nice.
in Stormwind at the start of this episode, running those errands. A boy in the city's cathedral told me a bishop asked him to approach adventurers that might be able to help with an issue, and that I should quietly head to Stormwind Keep to learn more. This quest sounded interesting since I was specifically told it's a matter of discretion, which makes me think that it's a somewhat important quest line. Anyway, now's as good a time as ever to head over where I meet with the bishop who tells me a bit more about my mission. Apparently, a diplomat was sent to Theramore to meet up with Jaina Proudmoore.
Okay, I just thought of something. Okay, call me out if this is copium. Because it probably is. When I'm streaming playthrough games like this, so this isn't a playthrough game, right? This is World of Warcraft. But like, you know, when I'm streaming narrative games like this, this is copium. One of the reasons I feel like I'm not very good at it is because I'm streaming. So I'll read like a couple sentences, but then I read Twitch chat and YouTube chat. You know, maybe a sub came through, thank the sub, read it, and then I'm like constantly reading the chat. If I was playing off stream, like G-Base recording off stream, he's actually just reading it. I haven't had that experience in, well, 14 years, I guess. Is that copium? That's basically what Asmongold says. Has he said that? I didn't think about that till right now, because I'm like, how does he know where to go? And it's like, well, he reads it. It's like, well, why would that be so hard for me? And it's like, well, I'm streaming. I'm usually reading chat, right? Not copium. I mean, it's a little cope, but it's like, it's kind of true, right? A little. I've heard that from a lot of streamers. It's kind of true, I think, because I'm never actually just playing the game. I'm really talking to you guys while playing a game, and if it's a first time playing the game, I'm gonna lose a lot because I'm talking to chat most of the time. Anyway, that's my excuse.
though for some reason he never arrived, this bishop suspects that the Defias Brotherhood are involved, although he's not exactly sure how, and directs me to go speak with an old friend of his, Jorgen, who may be able to provide a lead. Okay, hang on, the Defias. Is this a follow-up to that whole disappointment we just ran into last episode? I head over to the Valley of Heroes to meet with Jorgen, eager to learn more, although I get a bit distracted because this is when I realize you can read the plaques for each one of these statues. I had no idea about that. I love how this plaque says that this Khadgar guy is presumed deceased. That's got to be Blizzard code for he's an important figure that's going to come back at some point in the plot. This Ilaria Windrunner too. There's no way that Blizzard aren't bringing these people back. But more importantly with this one, look, this plaque was written by Sylvanas. I'm still excited to see her again at some point. She is such a great character. Anyway, I find our contact Jorgen, who I'm quite jealous of as he's doing exactly what I wish I could be right now, but we've got more important fish to fry. Jorgen takes our message from the bishop, reading it and agreeing to help, but not before urging secrecy once more, then giving me a sealed note to take to my old friend Elling Trias. It feels exciting to see now that I'm not even able to open and read the notes that I'm delivering to people. This is like that Abomination quest all over again. Speaking of stitches, I meet up with Elling, who tells me to go to Darkshire next, where I meet with a contact named Bacchus, who says that there has been some Defias activity going on nearby an old farmstead. I quickly head down the road, eventually finding the farm, and upon fighting my way through a few Defias bandits, I come across an interesting looking chest that contains a mysterious docket which reads, "Our first plan has already failed. Fist was successful in switching the guard, but due to some unforeseen efforts, our target was able to flee from the scene before we could capture him. Plan 2 has been set in motion, and it was well underway before our ambush was set off in Stormwind." That doesn't sound good. I don't totally understand what's going on, but I take the docket back to Elling, eager to learn more. Elling recognizes the name Fist as referencing some Dashel Stone Fist that's frequently given.
Okay, I'm thinking about something in the background here while he's doing this missing diplomat quest, and it's like, let's have a quick discussion. I really like how he's swapping between his one-hander, like dual wield combo, and the two-handed sword. And what I'm thinking about is he doesn't have details or a damage meter at all. So what he's doing instead is feeling out which one feels like it's doing better based on like, okay, is this proc actually procking? Like, let me feel out. It's like feel craft, right? It's like, okay, let's see how much this is procking. Oh, it's actually procs a lot. Oh, this doesn't proc very much. Oh, this is really good, or it isn't. And then you might even talk to another player and say like, does this item proc a lot? Like, is it actually good to use? Or like maybe someone progged a raid that has better gear than you, and you can maybe say like, oh, is this or that. Whereas when you have a damage meter, you quite literally just know. Now this gets worse with things like parsing and simulations like Simcraft, right? So if you guys have played retail recently, or you can do this in classic too, but it's really popular in retail to sim your gear. So you get an item and you put it into a simulation to see if it's an upgrade for you or not. And like, it really just takes away the feel of like just testing things out. I guess the question then becomes, are damage meters even good for WoW? Because there's a lot of pros with them, obviously. But I almost kind of miss the days of just like, I don't know. No, yes, no. It's like, it might be just one of those things where if you really care to have a true experience, you just do no add-ons, right? Kind of like G-Bay's doing. I think I did that pretty much similarly with my Warlock, right? Pretty low add-ons or no add-ons. And that's up to you. But for everyone else that wants to min-max, like, you actually just use them, right? But it's such a big thing. Like, the game is fun when you do that, right? Like, I just remember back before I had a damage meter, which I was a late adopter to a damage meter because I was a PvPer. And I didn't know what, like, all the different spells damage profiles were and stuff like that. I just played the game. And I didn't download details till, like, after I got rank 1. Probably, I didn't download details till, like, I want to say WoD, or maybe even Legion, probably WoD. I didn't have details for a long time. I played without it in Kata, Mop, Wrath. I just played the game normally, and you had to just think, like, okay, is this a good thing? Like, I mean, I killed him with Ice Lance. Should I keep using that? Yeah, I'll keep hitting Ice Lance. I mean, that worked. Again, I'll just keep doing that then. Just keep Ice Lancing, right? So, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being an old boomer, like reminiscing with the good old days before the add-ons, but like I swear it's a big difference, right?
into brawls in Stormwind. He then sends me over to speak with him in Old Town, and that is when I'm first directed to this really cool back alleyway that I can't believe I never noticed before. Anyway, Stonefist isn't too cooperative, so I have to beat him up quite a bit to get any information, which isn't too tough in spite of the additional thugs he calls in. I make a bit of a mistake in popping retaliation here, which means that even though I take Stonefist low enough that he calls off the fight, the thugs re-aggro me and actually chase me out of the alleyway until I run off and make them despawn. It's a game from 2004. Who cares if there's a few bugs? Anyway, I speak with Dashel, who says he knows something about what happened at that meeting in...
Wait, what was a bug?
The farmstead in Duskwood,
namely
intended. The quote guy they've got on the inside for Plan B came out of Menethil Harbor and goes by the name Slim. I take this info back to Elling, who tells me to go up to Menethil to try and track down Slim. So I take a flight up north once again, wondering what all this could be that's going on. Again, the rule in WoW has always been the more zones you see across a quest line, the bigger the story is. What could the Defias have done?
I have to go back again. So this right here is a really cool moment that I feel like you see less in modern MMOs or in retail with a lot of phasing. Is you're a low level and you're in the same town as a lot of the high levels. It seems like on retail, when you're a low level, you're phased in some corner of the world. They don't really see anyone. And if you go to Stormwind, Stormwind's not even the most recent town. So there are people for sure. It's actually probably a good amount of people, but it's not even like the most recent town with all the people, right? But in classic WoW, Stormwind is the town. So you're gonna see someone like this, right? You're a lowbie warrior and you see this. You see the glowing weapons, you see the sweet colored shoulders, the tabard. It's just like, I don't know about you guys, but this is a big deal. This is a big deal, right?
So I take a flight up north.
And then you see,
once again, wondering what...
You see the rogue with Fiery Crusader, Bloodfang. It's like, it's a big deal, right? Like the low levels and the high levels are seeing each other constantly in this main town. It's not like, oh, we're just every new expansion is gonna be a new town, and then like the low levels will never really get to that town until later. It makes the game just feel disconnected, right? And then it's worse of an issue when there's like facing and layering. Like, oh, that's good.
All this could be that's going on. Again, the rule in WoW has always been the more zones you see across a quest line, the bigger the story is. What could the Defias have done that is worthy of so much travel and such a sprawling narrative? I finally land in Menethil and head off to the nearby inn where I meet up with Elling's contact Mikael, but on conversing with him, he notices somebody is eavesdropping on our conversation, and he says I should go subdue him before he escapes. Apparently, Mikael is much more observant than I am because I cannot see who the hell he's talking about, and I just run around looking at various NPCs until suddenly my quest has failed. Upon redoing the quest, I then see the guy in question is hiding in stealth, and it is the Slim character I'm after, so I go outside to fight, only to realize he is one tough cookie. Because I popped my retaliation for the fight with Dashel, I don't have it here to deal with Slim and his ad, who end up killing me.
That's a tough one,
as he is the highest level I've seen so far. So before I try again, I just go off and kill some time getting a level by going and doing a quest where I slay a bunch of undead sailors on a crashed Kultiran ship who also cast a curse on me, turning me into an undead too? Okay, that's another great quest that I should probably talk about more, but I'm now 32 and I have retaliation back up, and I'm really curious about what's going on with this Defias mystery. I restart the quest to slay Slim once more, and third try proves to be the charm, as I manage to take him down to a point where he agrees to speak with me, spilling the beans. The Defias have kidnapped the King of Stormwind. Okay, I was not expecting that. The missing diplomat, it turns out, was not a diplomat after all, but the king of all the Alliance. He was on his way to meet with Jaina for some big reason when the Defias managed to intercept him under the orders of some mysterious benefactor. Okay, Defias, I was starting to feel like you weren't the bad guys, being cheated out of the payment for rebuilding Stormwind, but kidnapping the king? That kind of takes away some of the sympathy I had for your cause. Anyway, Slim just says that his job was to get an inside operative named Hendel onto the same ship as the king, and that's all he knows. Upon speaking with Mikael, he tells me Hendel is a part of the Theramore Guard, and I head off to Theramore, eager to make somebody pay for crippling the Alliance like this. You can tell I'm becoming a real WoW player because I'm actually starting to care about the fate of the Alliance. Eventually, though, I manage to meet up with Archmage Tervosh, who lets me know that everything I've learned...
Am I crazy to say that I could be wrong here, but I feel like most WoW players don't read the quest and have no idea what's going on. Is that a crazy claim to make? I think like it's like 80-90%. They just click accept, they do the quest and turn it in. That's true? Yeah, it feels pretty true, right? I feel like G-Base in the very small minority, following the story, reading the quest. It's awesome, by the way. That's why I'm loving the series. But he's definitely like not like most people here.
And has also been discovered by himself. And
someone goes, I don't even click accept anymore. Just auto pickup, auto turn in.
Jaina Proudmoore, who will be happy to assist me in subduing Hendel. I then head down the road to find Hendel's camp right past this tower. He is a level 35 that I need to subdue, but as he attacks me, I'm grateful to see that 2 other Alliance guards help me in subduing him, making the fight pretty much a breeze. Oddly enough, I find another timely bug where these guards then aggro onto me for some reason, which almost ruins the cutscene of seeing the Archmage and Jaina show up to take Hendel into...
Okay, so this is kind of like a little cutscene. Well, it's not a cutscene. It's you know, it's being like acted out in the world. I guess this might be more like earlier I said, should there be cutscenes in WoW? Maybe this is just more appropriate. On big quest chains, stuff like this happens, and it already does.
Custody. But as I'm bouncing around trying to turn in my quests and getting aggroed by these guards over and over, look, it's Hawthorne, the hunter from earlier who helped me with the syndicate. He shows up just in time to help de-aggro the guards and show me the way back to town. Thank you very much for your assistance in my escape. The Archmage told me they were taking Hendel back to Theramore for questioning, so I head back to find Jaina Proudmoore at the top of the central tower to draw the story to a close. She thanks me for all my help, saying that in the future she'll keep me appraised of how the situation develops, rewarding me with another kick-ass ring. And I am not making the same mistake I did last time of assuming that the story is over. I'm sure this narrative is going to continue in some future quest, and I'll get to find the King of Stormwind, solving the city's corruption problem sooner or later. But wow, what a great storyline.
If he sticks with it, I feel like he's going to love the Onyxia Attunement quest. Like, after all of this, you know, I feel like he's gonna love it.
Classic WoW simply does not let up with its quality, no matter how long you play. Okay, one thing I gotta say real quick, I actually loved the payoff of seeing Jaina Proudmoore for the first time here in Classic, especially compared to my experience in retail. In my first retail video, you guys saw how much I geeked out over seeing her when I accidentally started the BFA campaign, because it was really exciting to see a familiar Warcraft 3 character after all these years. Here in Classic, I was a little frustrated at first, but not getting to immediately meet someone so important, and instead just hearing her referenced across all these quests. It made for one hell of a payoff when I finally did get to see her again, even if some of those rogue guards tried to ruin it with that silly bug. You know, looking back on it now, I kind of feel like the game design element of all of this is honestly genius in terms of how it best introduces someone to this MMO. I know World of Warcraft used to be considered the easy MMO when it came to old school players back in the 90s, who were coming at it from EverQuest and Ultima Online and Asheron's Call. These guys would famously call WoW the Care Bear MMO because it had a lot of new player-friendly features like not losing your items on death and not needing to aim your spells. But even if Classic WoW was easier compared to some of those older MMOs, it's still a pretty complex game that has so many systems and mechanics that you need to learn. If you're someone that's not used to MMOs and this is your first one, you could totally be thrown off, feeling overwhelmed at all of the stuff that there is for you to dive into. So honestly, with that context, it feels really smart for the game to keep players in the same starting zones for such a long period of...
Yes, exactly. The pacing has to be slow because you're playing an MMO and things should be hard to figure out, or it should take a while, because if not, then you're going to figure it out in a day and be bored of the game. But that means you have to level slow and you have to be in places for a while, because that's just the way it works with an MMO. If it rushes you through it, then it's like you don't even have the time to take it all in.
Time. Again, it was about 60 hours for me, and all of that time fighting mobs, running dungeons, learning the basics of travel and how quests work. It was all that time that got me comfortable with how the game worked, to a point where it didn't feel all that mechanically difficult for me to suddenly traverse 2 continents and go on these massive adventures I was thrown into at level 30. I actually wonder if I got kind of lucky in picking Warrior as my class, since all of this began with that Whirlwind Axe quest. That was exactly the moment when I was ready for a massive globe-trotting adventure. I hope that every class gets to have a similar experience at 30. Anyway, though, I'll save the rest of the Whirlwind Axe stuff for next time. Subscribe if you'd like to see me continue my adventure and take down that Cyclonian. I've seen quite a few of you skeptical in the...
I feel like modern MMOs just get pacing all wrong. It's more about like, let's hook the guy and like get him through all this cool stuff really fast. And like the pacing just feels off. Like the game itself isn't even that bad, but it's like the pacing is just completely ruined.
Comments on my videos about whether I'm going to stick with WoW all the way to 60. Let me just say, I'm going all the way. The journey is not stopping anytime soon. So subscribe and stay tuned for what happens next.
He's going all the way, boys.
Special shout out and thank you to all the channel members who made this episode possible. If you'd like to become a channel member, you can join down below. And another big shout out to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to check them out if you need a game to play while you're waiting for Blizzard to announce Classic Plus. But anyway, if you're still listening to my voice right now, I sincerely appreciate you for making it all the way to the end of this video. I hope to see you in the next one, but until then, thanks again for watching, good luck in solo queue, and have a wonderful day.
Guys, this is the first time I've seen Jibei commit saying he's actually going to hit 60. I don't think he said that yet till right there. Because he's kind of been like, oh, I'll keep playing until bored, like, you know, this and that. I think he just committed. Here's the thing, though. Do you guys think he knows he's under halfway by a large margin? And that, like, once he's 60, all the attunement quests and this, like... Do you think he knows? Clueless? Yeah, he might not know. But don't no one tell him. All right, he committed. He's in it now, guys. We've got him. It's good. It's good. Guys, Jibei, new upload, did not disappoint. I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it. Check out the video, guys. Show Jibei some love.